Hi, everyone. Hi, judges.
Hi, judges.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Isabel. This is Tim from
Hi.
Beijing, China. And we'll be sharing with you today Pang Mei Noodle Bar. A conservative estimate of 6.5 million servings of this spicy noodle, Chongqing's staple food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is consumed every day in that city alone. And that translates to almost 2.4 billion bowls per year, again, just in Chongqing City. It's a hugely popular and widely accessible dish, famous for its fragrant mala soup and can be found all over the country. Our client, Beibei, has set up Pang Mei Noodle Bar with her husband in Beijing and have been serving delicious and authentic Chongqing spicy noodles since 2017. Their first shop was a modest establishment in the Hutong. Here she is at the counter. This photo was taken during our first collaboration together. Each bowl of noodle cost about £3. Their average turnover was 8 minutes per seat. And this gives an idea of how efficiency is of utmost importance for a self-operated business like this. This was the same space after our redesign, focusing on capturing the joy of curbside eating. A couple years later, Beibei was invited to open her second shop in one of Beijing's most populous malls. And last year, we were invited again to design their third space. Situated blocks away from the Forbidden City, our site was once a vibrant commercial hub in the 80s and had only lately undergone gentrification. This newly developed mixed-use area is surrounded by hutongs, occupied by local residents that have been living here for generations, and there's also many serious-looking municipal establishments. Different from its previous two locations with very specific demographic, the first one serving mostly tourists and blue-collar, the second targeting fashionable shoppers, we now face a very organic group of customers. In addition to local residents, we have the hip Hutong explorers, people from nearby offices, families, shoppers, and night crawlers who are always looking for a bite to eat. The diversity of this new location inspired our client to explore new dining modes that follows a circadian rhythm, which in plain words means that they want to make the most of their rent, from breakfast to supper, all while fulfilling flooding orders from platforms like Uber Eats. We were tasked to design, in a much simplified term, a flexible space and all its fine prints, to respond to the varying usage of space, crowd sizes, staff allocation, and atmospheric changes. Sitting on the ground level of a 5-story office block, the 174 square meter space faces a public square that connects the hutongs all around, an art museum on the side, and a new pedestrian mall to the south. This is a view from the WeWork building looking north towards our site on the ground level. A full view of the plaza looking west at the art museum and our uneventful facade on the right. And as we observe the site, we begin to look for opportunities to better connect the project with this context and the communities that it hopes to serve. Opportunities to utilize what's existing and to improve on how the building touches the ground and how it receives the flow of people. The existing interior, as we found it, extends 20 meters west to east. We had about 2.4 meters of height to play with before hitting the ducts and the beams. But despite the low ceiling, the space is exposed to generous sunlight. And we see opportunity to extend connections and views into the courtyard and back. Based on the relationship between the parameters and its environment and the designed kitchen area dictated by the client, we arrive at this primary zoning allocation. A long seating zone facing the plaza, a kitchen that connects to the service lane and passage, and a square-shaped seating area in the back. A layer of service zone is further identified as the key interface between the kitchen and the diners to ensure efficient service and an undisturbed dining experience. Fenestrations were designed to encourage engagement with the courtyard. The west end of the service zone was identified as the dessert kitchen to receive support from the main kitchen while provide to both the dining area and the takeout window. And as we move to the interior, 2 sets of steel roller shutters are introduced to activate different spaces on demand. A full-height unit that encloses the corridor during off-peak hours, a window unit that exposes the cold kitchen to the night diners. And we will attempt to demonstrate how this space reconfigures throughout a typical day in the following slides. In the morning, the dessert kitchen is activated with 1 to 2 staffs fulfilling takeout orders. At lunchtime, a full staff in a fully open seating area with about 60+ seats. The full-height roller shutter is pulled down as the number of diners reduces in the afternoons and a limited menu is served. At dinner service, the large seating space is again released to accommodate a huge influx of crowd that also extends onto the plaza. And as we step deep into the night, the liquor menu is served, the window to the cold kitchen is raised, becoming the focal point, spitting out skewers, seasonal tapas, and other delicious snacks. The 174 square meter space is packed with functions and devices that seamlessly adapt and strategically located while maintaining an airy and comfortable atmosphere. We selected a palette of materials that could allow Palm May to be seen as a bright and welcoming addition to the courtyard, while respecting the monochromatic theme of its context. A warmer tone is added to the more tangible elements, such as the padded wall, furniture, and fittings. For furniture, we were inspired by Michael Wolff's photographic work, documenting these ingenious furnitures found in the hutongs during his life in Beijing. We find it fitting, given a brand that's also born in the hutong, to design a casual but contemporary chair that carries this Frankenstein spirit. We imagined a simple and modern piece comprises of material that are adopted for their inherited properties. Solid aluminium for structural integrity, cork for softness and warmth, and a wide strip of rubber band for its elasticity, but more importantly for bounce and fun. The chair is designed to be stackable for easy storage. We were then motivated to echo the same design concept and same material and form into the higher elevation in the space and made these pendants. And together they express a casual, simple, but subtle richness to the space. And here's a view of the noodle bar occupying the ground floor. The new breakfast and dessert window with a standing bar sheltered by a thin stainless steel canopy. We have large sets of aluminium bifold windows and the deep terrazzo tables that extends the dining and the social scene outwards. Supersized overhang structures finished in polished stainless steel spanning above the entire 20-meter facade announces Palm May's presence while mirroring the activities below. This is a view upon entering the space, looking down the seating corridor. The service zones are neatly stacked behind the padded wall with aluminium door frames that mark their entrances. The padded cylinders leads to the large dining area and the roller blinds hidden in the seams. This is a view of the main dining area with booth seatings on the sides and a series of tables in the center that can be easily reconfigured and pieced together to accommodate varying size groups. This is a view out of the service corridor into the dining area with the wash hand basin and the cloakroom in the back. And here's a shot of the space during lunch hours. There's some details that designed to react to changes throughout the day. And that's the, as the night falls, that's the view when the space is lit up. And we'll show you a few slides with a lot more people in it, and you can see how people interact with the space and the plaza.
Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate the spatial planning. I thought it's very thorough and very well thought through. I have two questions. First question is the padded cylinders. Are there any meaning or why do you choose to use that? Because I find that quite overwhelming in the space. I really appreciated the spatial quality when I was looking at the floor plan, but suddenly when I see the 3D, I saw this padded thing. I was a little bit surprised because it just took, kind of like, it became the identity, but at the same time, it's quite overwhelming. So I want to know, why do you have this choice?
Thank you for that question. Pang Mei noodles bar. Pang Mei in Mandarin translates to chubby girl. So that's kind of a fun element that we brought into all of their spaces. In the second shop that we've designed for them, it's in a very popular mall. This shop, they always have around an hour waiting time for people to get a seat. So for the second shop, we've designed these large inflatable pads for people to for the visitors for their waiting customers to kind of lean against. And for this store, because it's more of a community-based area, and we want to have this friendly element, and also for the staff that's standing in the corridor all day long to have something soft to lean on.
I see. Okay, thank you. Second question I have. You showed us some research images with the sort of roadside noodle bar where the guy is just standing right behind and people sitting in front of the counter, right? So did you consider having like a show kitchen, something similar to capture that kind of like cooking as a performance in your restaurant?
That's the cold bar that we've concealed during the day, because they have a different supper menu. And to have that kind of night store atmosphere, that small window shutter is opened at nighttime. So people, the night crowd it's more of a relaxed atmosphere rather than a grab and go noodle. So when that window is raised, you get that really good and really friendly engagement between the diners and the chef or the cook behind it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, sorry for the skipping slides. I'm trying to get that image of the shutter here. That's the night store opening during the night hours. So during the day, that shutter is closed. And then as the crowd is smaller during the night, we have to control, it's part of the brief for us to be able to control the amount of staff that is needed and the amount of seats that is available, so that to manage the operation
more efficiently.
Efficiency.
I'm also intrigued by these these squishy walls, these bibendum walls that are, they look inflatable. I mean, what's inside them?
These are upholstered. These are not inflatable.
Filled with foam?
Yes.
No,
Upholstery foam.
There's a layer of foam behind the PU leather, but inside is actually a hollow, hollow duct.
Yeah, PVC pipe.
It's actually a pipe.
And does it help with acoustics, maybe?
Hugely.
Isn't it noisy when the whole restaurant is full and people are all slurping and... I guess you're using chopsticks, not knives and forks, which would be much more... But now, on the whole, you've chosen to photograph it looking very kind of pristine and clean. And I imagine this is really about, it's really about the food and the people and it's that it is probably a really quite a noisy, exciting place for...
It's a very busy place, yes.
So my question really is can you elaborate on the restraint in the colors and the materials? And I mean, it sort of seems like an extension of a rather grey plaza. You've taken it inside. You haven't chosen the other way to make it a bit noisy, a bit bright, a bit colourful on the outside. You've kept everything very kind of toned down. Could you explain, please?
Yes, because this dish is originated from Chongqing. And Chongqing is a very, if you've ever been to the place, it's a very magical place. It's very industrialized. And the eating kind of culture there is you eat, like the first shop that we designed, you eat by the streets and you eat under the bridge. So we kind of want to bring that kind of very street-like atmosphere into the space. And at the same time, their dishes are very colorful. You have the red spicy oil, you have all the condiments that's on the plate. So we want to create this a bit quieter, a calmer environment or atmosphere.
So the food is doing the talking.
Yes, because it's all about snapping that shot, right?
And I would like to add to the question as well. I think it was also a conscious choice to be, from an architectural level, keeping the changes that we do to the facade and the canopy to be eye-catchy in the sense that it's not trying to be trying to announce a huge difference into the space. So that's why we choose to use this chromatic stainless steel finish. It's shimmering, but it's also reflective. It's there, but it's not. It's also a conscious choice.
My question's related to Nigel's. I think some of the images that you were showing of the original noodle shop, as well as some of the precedent images, there was an intimacy. There was an intimacy to those shops, and it was an intimacy based on proximity, elbow rubbing, density, and acoustics as well. I really like the whimsy with the round shapes, but what did you do to try to maintain some of that intimacy based on proximity, density, and acoustics? Nigel mentioned it. Can you just elaborate a little bit more? Does it feel sterile, or does it still have that vibrancy that the precedent images you showed had, and the familiarity of the owner of the original shop and her stall?
Yes, good question. This is our third collaboration with the same client, and throughout the 3 iterations that we did for them, in this particular site, once it was found, the client actually came to us and told us that it's part of the brief that they want to elevate the level of comfort just because it's not in the mall, it's not in the hutongs anymore, and it's serving a more there's an interest in the whole area to be more communal and to be more inclusive of the different type of demographic that come into the space. And so we did try to add a little bit more warmth to the space, as you can see from the two previous iterations. It's kind of got more hard edges. It's kind of less comfort. You sit on lower levels. So it's intentional that we elevate it a little bit, but I think the street qualities to it is maintained on the terrazzo tables that is close to the facade.
So the communal tables, the seat height and the table height, and the spacing between the seats, they're all just a little bit shorter than a normal dining experience. Like you sit a bit lower, you eat a bit lower, and the space between you and the next person is just a bit closer.
Okay. Congratulations on your project. Knowing that this is the third experience around with the same client, I imagine that throughout the collaboration, there must have been successful experiences to end up having a third venue. What elements in the project do you think that actually have become part of the brand identity? Because over time you end up through interior design building a brand identity, and that you think that now are key to replicate in the next ones, and also this opportunity of having an extra layer of designing not only the operation and the configuration of the place, but also the FF&E and these decorative items. How has that contributed to the brand identity?
Thanks for the question.
They're all different, huh?
I think, yes, that's right. One of the key reasons why the client comes back to us every time is, and they told us that every store that they open, they want to have a different interior and an experience. Part of, I guess, to answer your question, part of the I guess we didn't show slides of it. One of the constant material or detail that we use across all of the previous and this one is this mirror that we have a gradient on. Sorry, I'm going backwards. We have this gradiented mirror that is mimicking the famous fog from Chongqing. So the first store that we did for them is actually really more tied into the terrain, inspired by the terrain of the Chongqing atmosphere. But in here, we use this material again to create this constant across all three stores, to have this seating under, having noodles under fog, in a poetic sense. And that's one of the things that we carry through for this one.
And we've designed bespoke furniture for all their stores. These chairs and pendants became quite iconic. So we've done the fourth shop for them, and we've kind of modified. It's in a different setting again, but we've modified the design. It's in a much tighter space. So from chairs, now there are stools and different heights and bar stools. So we're slowly kind of creating or developing these so-called signature or iconic elements for them to be carried out in the next few shops.
And from a functional standpoint, there's also these epiphanies where the client comes back to us and say, hey, we want to elevate the comfort level, or we want to maintain some of the fun that we did with the inflatables that we use from the second one. But now we have a lot of staff standing behind customers who's actually standing there all day. So part of the before, when we used inflatables, it was for people who was actually queuing up for a long time. But in here, where there's actually a bigger store, and we kind of turned that into explaining the puffy wall is actually for the staff to actually lean on. So there are these similarities and evolution to what we got given after using different spaces. The client have new epiphanies and new challenges for us to resolve.
I noticed that in one picture you've got a lot of red plastic stools outside.
That's
How
right.
did they get to be there? They weren't your design, were they?
They weren't our design. So the space ended up being more popular than anticipated, and given the extended landscape that we design, that kind of extends from into the courtyard. They asked the managers, the property managers, whether they could use it for business, and they granted that permission. So then it turns out to become also a space where you could dine as well.
But yes, tell that to our client, please.
Sorry, I couldn't go back to that slide. These
There we go.
these chairs.
It's there somewhere.
So these are the first selections that I have for the additional seatings. And then slowly they evolved into the very iconic.
And what about these chairs? Are they? Did you buy those? Or
We didn't buy them.
Those were selected.
We
We selected for them, but it's actually a quick answer to the long queues that is happening every day.
Exactly. So you lost control to some extent.
Well, we all
the
do.
business took over.
Thank you.